Good morning, everybody. I'm Eureka John, and you're at Eureka Street Crypto Hub, broadcasting. I said hub. I haven't said hub in a long time. That's what I used to call it. It's just Eureka Street Crypto, Eureka Street Crypto Podcast. Anyway, broadcasting live at 7:15 in the morning from Leander, Texas, just a suburb of Austin, Texas. And it's what day is it today? February 4th, 2022, and this is episode number 404. So a lot of fours in today. February 4th, episode 404, 2022. And this is my video blog, my morning brain dump video blog, me documenting my journey through the crypto space and just basically making it public. I've learned a lot on this journey. I've been doing this since October 24th, 2020, and it has been really interesting, to say the least. I've learned about a lot of cool projects, met a lot of cool people. I've made some terrible predictions. This is not financial advice. I will tell you that first off. So yeah, if you've come to this show thinking that I'm here to teach you something or some kind of instructional or tutorial, or that I'll actually get to the point at some time, you're on the wrong channel. So you might want to go ahead and just click away. So I've had some people saying, yeah, I thought this was about like getting a job on Decentraland or something. The guy will never get to the point. Yeah. Well, this is not that type of show, man. I'm not here to give you bullet points and educational lessons. So, yeah, it is what it is. This is, like I said, my morning video blog. So, anyway, I will get to a point, and I have a subject I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the trusted setup and what makes that the difference between ZK SNARKs and ZK Starks today. But I'll get there eventually. But yeah, I got my rambling to do and my opinions I have to spout. So let's take a quick look at the old CoinGecko and see what we have going on today in the market. Looks like everything's kind of in the green. Bitcoin's at 37,987. See, yeah, it's funny because things spike up and the bull market happens for a while, and everybody gets used to these prices way up in the 50,000s. And yeah. And then it drops down to something like 36,000. Everybody's freaking out, and then it comes back up to 37 or 38, maybe 39 and 40,000, and then everybody's suddenly once again thinking they're rich, and it's like, it's like the luxury that they had during the bull market gets taken away from them, and they so easily forget, that one day they were paupers, so they learn to appreciate 39 and 40,000 levels again. Yeah, so yeah. Ethereum up 17.8% in the past 7 days to 2,840. Let's see. Tether and Binance Coin at 378.23. Tether's a stable coin. So is USDC right below Binance. Cardano $1.06. Solana up 16.3% to $104.20. XRP down to 61 cents. It actually is up 2.4% in the past 24 hours. Polkadot, $19.42. I need to do a video about Polkadot at some point and talk about it. Another layer one solution, Terra, $50.97. The Doge at 13 cents, up 2.4%. Then we have Avalanche at number 12, 71.31, up 10% in the past 7 days. I do have some holdings in Avalanche. Polygon, up 4.8% in the past 24 hours. Crypto.com, I have both Polygon and Crypto.com. Crypto.com's up 3.7%. Let's go down here, take a look at Cosmos, up 9.8%. We have Chainlink, 5.1% in the past 24 hours to 1650. And what else do we have here that could be of any interest? Phantom's up 4.5%. It's interesting because I did read on January 21st that Danny Sesta, who I did the episode about yesterday, that's in all this hot water for partnering up with the old Quadriga guy, Michael Patron, Zero X Sifu. But he's also partnering up with Andre Cronje to build an automated market maker on Phantom blockchain. So that's pretty interesting. Danny Sesta, I think, is a smart dude. He's in some hot water over all this stuff with the Wonderland Time and the Ohm Forks and stuff like that, and the Abracadabra.money. But then you see him partnering up with a guy like Andre Cronje, who has a sterling reputation as being this mad scientist in the blockchain world. And yeah, man, it's really interesting to see that they're creating this automated market maker on Phantom. So let's see how that plays out. It gives me confidence in Danny Sesta that he's partnering with somebody like Andre Cronje, because Andre Cronje's freaking genius. All right, so let's see here. And Andre Cronje, if you don't know, invented Yearn Finance and basically like invented a lot of the things necessary for decentralized finance. Yeah, so and he got the whole DeFi summer started back in 2020. Okay, so let's see. Decentraland's up 16.9%. Even Ethereum Classic is up 16%. I need to do a little dive in on Ethereum Classic. You have this like cult following of people that really love Ethereum Classic, and I'll explain the Ethereum Classic versus Ethereum. But if Ethereum had never forked during a major big hack that happened a while back, a long time ago, and Ethereum would be Ethereum Classic, and there would be no Ethereum Classic. It would just be Ethereum. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. Let's roll down the list here. I wanted to get to one that always seems to go inverse to the market for me, and that's Quant Network. And I have some Quant that I bought a long time ago because I did a video on Quant, so I kind of just aped into some Quant. And I was one of those guys that discovers altcoins and just buys everything, like with what, even just a few dollars here and there with what little money I have. But I now I have all these bags, these stashes of all these weird little coins, and a lot of them have died, But because I'm so curious and I do all these videos talking about all this stuff, I'll buy a little bit of it, Well, I bought some Quant back when it was like worth like maybe, I don't know, like I guess $10 a token or something like that. Not even, I think it was under $10. But now each token is worth 139.07. It's up 50.2% in the past 7 days. I bought this maybe a year ago, over a year ago. Yeah, something like that. It was when I first started making these videos. But yeah, Quant has jumped back up. And it's because they actually did the release of their Overledger. And so Quant's kind of like a banker's token, and they want all the banks and, financial institutions to be able to talk to each other. So it's like interoperability for the bankers, If you think of like Cosmos Hub and stuff like that, and the IBC, the inter something connection blockchain protocol thing. I can't remember what it stands for. Quant Network is kind of like that, but for the banking industry. This says here, today we launched a and of course I learned this on LinkedIn, like the whole suit and tie, networking professional website, Quant is like that, it's not some hipster trendy little dinky NFT project that, has a kid and, I don't know, whatever the Zoomers wear now. The millennials, it was the tight pants and the black horn rim glasses and the tattoo sleeves. I don't even know what the Zoomers are doing. I'm old, man. I'm Gen X, so But anyway, I learned about this on LinkedIn. It says, and this was, I guess, less than 24 hours ago. It says, today we launched a milestone release of Overledger, the world's leading blockchain gateway, providing interoperability between blockchains with a single API. This new version 2.1.7 makes QRC20 smart contract creation easy. So I guess they have like kind of an ERC20 style smart contract creation, but they call it QRC. You can deploy enterprise-grade smart money and perform basic payment operations without specialist programming skills or blockchain language. So it's WYSIWYG. These smart contracts can then be deployed to the Ethereum Ropsten network directly on the user interface. Our revolutionary payment tools have the potential to move money with greater efficiency across borders, evolving the world of finance to what the future needs today. And they take you to this article over here on their Quant Network site. I really don't feel like digging into Quant Network today, but yeah, banks have a lot. They want to get into blockchain, and they have a lot of different ledgers, permissioned and permissionless. And this is a way for all of them to be able to talk to each other no matter what. So Quant's Overledger is the world's leading blockchain gateway, providing interoperability between blockchains with a single API. An API is just the connection between the world and the internet with a database. With Overledger 2.1.7, customers can create easy smart contracts or payments using tokenized money within our API. Overledger is an important milestone. Oh, let me get this frame all set up so people on the visual side of things can see. People listening will just get my amazing audio. Man, this is a wide screen that they have for this website. Let me just resize it. Oh my God. All right. So Overledger natively supports 12 programming languages, so no additional programming or blockchain is required. Furthermore, QRC smart contracts can be deployed straight to the Ethereum Ropsten testnet directly by the UI. The new smart contract functionality in Overledger is an important milestone. QRC smart contracts can act as programmable money across an interoperable blockchain payment system. This is the first phase in developing new digital payment instruments that move money more efficiently domestically across borders, evolving the world of finance to what the future needs today. That's Quant Network. That's what they're doing. So they just finally released their big old, thing. So anyway, let's go back. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the difference between SNARKs and STARKs, and I read this thread about the Cairo programming language, and I thought it was pretty cool. So in order to understand what Cairo programming language is, you have to understand what STARKs is, and then in a way to understand what STARKs is, you have to have a basic knowledge of ZK SNARKs and roll-ups and stuff like that. And I know Ethereum and Layer 2 are all about the roll-ups right now, and roll-ups are basically a scaling solution on Ethereum, because Ethereum costs a lot of gas to do the transactions, and it's not very scalable right now. So people have created these Layer 2 scaling solutions to be able to scale up Ethereum. So far, so good, I think. They've got a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of development happening. But they've created these Layer 2 solutions. One is ZK SNARKs, and another one now is ZK STARKs. And I'm really fascinated by the difference between these two and stuff like that. But ZK SNARKs is the first one, and it is written in Solidity, which is the language of the programming language for Ethereum smart contracts. Now, I try to speak and make language clear for everybody, and nobody that's super into is like a developer and is a veteran in the crypto space would actually listen to me anyway. So I try to explain all this for the total noob. Okay, so the blockchain has a protocol language, and it has a scripting language. Okay, so the protocol language is like to build the house, to build the structure that everything is working in. Ethereum, I think, uses C++, I think, or Go, or something like that. Bitcoin uses C++. And that is the whole frame of the house. That's the walls, the ceiling, the foundation, and everything like that. The scripting language, which Bitcoin does not have, because Bitcoin is just used for transactions, and that's it. So it's just basically this structure, this concrete structure, and that provides shelter, and that's it. Where scripting languages, they offer smart contracts, and that's what's made Ethereum stand out from Bitcoin originally. Even though Bitcoin had a lot of projects that were adding smart contracts to it, like colored coins and master coin and stuff like that. We can go way down that rabbit hole of Bitcoin history, and a lot of people are trying to bring back a lot of that smart contract functionality to Bitcoin. But for this purposes, Bitcoin does not have smart contracts. Ethereum, the whole premise behind Ethereum is smart contracts. And what is a smart contract? It is something that allows you to program some kind of decision tree or something that happens. Yeah, so like for instance, when so and so does X, then Y will happen, and it will automatically be triggered. Like for instance, you have a community that is voting on something, and everybody votes on something, and if that bill passes, then programmatically something automatically happens. It doesn't require a human to turn it off and on. So that's a smart contract, and Ethereum added that on top of it, on top of all this stuff. So it's not just about transactions. That is a smart contract. And where was? Oh yeah, so those things. So you have Ethereum as a whole written in languages like C++ and Go and stuff like that. And those are hardcore programming languages. And then you have Solidity, which is the scripting language. And if you think in terms of web technology, it'd be like JavaScript or something. So that is what builds those smart contracts on a house. That would be like the shingles, the paint, the saloon doors in the kitchen. You know, I always wanted saloon doors. My wife wouldn't let me have saloon doors, but those types of things, you know. And so Solidity is the language that Ethereum uses, the Ethereum virtual machine uses for smart contracts. Well, and for rollups. And that is the scaling solution for ZK SNARKs. It uses Solidity programming language in the Ethereum virtual machine. All right, so now there's a new roll-up solution that scales a lot better than even ZK SNARKs. So that would be ZK Starks, and that uses the Cairo language. And so Cairo is another scripting language. I guess I don't know how similar it is to Solidity or not, because I don't code either one. I've played around with Solidity, but I've never really gone super deep in it. I've done a transaction manually using Solidity in a Solidity development environment from a tutorial I followed. That's about it. So ZK SNARKs rollups are built using Solidity. ZK Starks they're built using the language called Cairo, which is a fairly new language. So there's not a whole lot of documentation on it, but apparently it is super scalable in contrast to ZK SNARKs. So let's read a little bit about Cairo. Why are programming languages like Cairo from Starkware Limited important for modular blockchains? So if you've read anything, if you've followed Bankless, if you followed my podcast, I've been talking a lot about the differences between monolithic and modular blockchains. And I can go on a whole tangent about that, and I'm going to try not to. Blockchains are moving and they're separating out their functions and they're making themselves modular rather than everything done on one blockchain. All right. So Cairo seems to be a better language for that. Anyway, so let's look at this thread here. Why are programming languages like Cairo from Starkware important for modular blockchains? Well, it says here, Solidity is a great language and one that was custom built for smart contract development, but it's tailor-made for the Ethereum virtual machine, right? So that means Solidity has a lot of great things. Basic state machine functions, gas management, standardization of contracts, and composition, meaning contracts can talk to each other easily. However, by being purpose-built for the Ethereum virtual machine, here are some quirks that can't be worked around. Solidity can compile. There are some quirks that can't be worked around. All right, so Solidity can compile better into SNARKs than to Starks. If we want to truly unlock the power that Starks provide, we need to build on top of this base layer. So welcome to Cairo. All right, so ZK rollups built on top of the state layer with a new term called provable computing. All right, so while you could transpile Solidity to Cairo, it's better to use a purpose-built language that skips Solidity's quirks. So Solidity was made for Ethereum. Cairo is not made just for Ethereum. It's made for a lot of different purposes. But Solidity has these weird little quirks in it. Think about this. Think about like a downtown that went through, like it started off when people had horses, right? So it wasn't built for an automobile. And then as people progressed and things changed, it still maintained that structure, but people built weird stuff around so cars could navigate around these buildings that were originally made for horse traffic, right? So that's kind of how a lot of program quirks happen. They are built when things were done one way, and then things changed, and then they have to readjust and figure out a new way of doing things. And then anything built after that, it if you start a clean slate after all those technological changes, you can build things from the ground up in a new way. And that's kind of what Starkware is doing, because it's not being built to just the Ethereum virtual machine. It's being built for a lot of different things. Anyway, Starks are more scalable than the Ethereum virtual machine, and we need a language that can scale alongside it. Along with scaling more efficiently, it allows access to Stark exclusive primitives. Okay, this means that developers previously constrained by gas and solidity limitations can build anything using Cairo. ZK rollups are a key piece of the endgame, and languages like Cairo are vital in increasing scalability. Okay, so here's the Lindy effect. The Solidity has the Lindy effect working for it. And the Lindy effect states that hold on, let me zoom this up so you can see. The hard to overcome case to be made for Solidity is, hold on, is security standards developed from 7 years, $20 billion hacked, developer experience and composability is also key. So Solidity does have the Lindy effect working for it. And so what is the Lindy effect? You'll see a lot of this stuff thrown around. So it's the life expectancy versus the time it's been around, and this is a graph. So the Lindy effect states that the future life expectancy of certain non-perishable things like a technology or an idea is proportional to the current age. So basically, the longer something has been around, the chances are longer it will survive, So yeah, of course, it's had time to develop. However, you can find some things that's been around a long time and its survival chances kind of go downhill because they aren't adjusting also. So I would argue against the Lindy effect in that case. Anyway, so yeah, that's just why the programming language Cairo is unique and good for modular blockchains rather than Solidity. I just thought that was a cool thread, and it begs the question, though, the difference between ZK SNARKs and ZK STARKs, and they both are layer 2 scaling solutions. They both are roll-ups, and trying to have as cheap as gas and then scale up the current smart contract environment as much as possible. And the one main difference between those two is the trusted setup. So what the hell is a trusted setup? So I went digging around trying to figure out what a trusted setup is. And apparently, in order to do zero knowledge proofs, you have to do what's called a trusted setup ceremony. So, all right, so let's go back and rewind just a little bit and take a look at what a zero knowledge proof is. All right, so, okay, so there's this good article right here, and I'm going to link all these articles in the video description. It says, "What are zero knowledge proofs? Complete beginner's guide." It's on Blockonomy. Okay, so both ZK SNARKs and ZK STARKs are zero knowledge proofs. All right, okay, so the use of zero knowledge proofs across a decentralized public network where value transferred is a groundbreaking advancement. The ability to completely anonymize network transactions over a public network is an incredible feat. So you have these transparent blockchains, and that's one of the amazing thing about blockchains is they are completely transparent. You can see everything that's happened. So nobody can do anything under the rug and all that stuff. But the problem is it can blow out and completely dox somebody's identity in a way. So it doesn't say somebody's anonymous. It says somebody's pseudonymous or pseudonymous or whatever. So somebody can track a blockchain address, and if somehow that blockchain address gets tied back to you, then somebody will be able to track every single transaction you did. But not so the case with zero-knowledge proofs. The use of zero-knowledge proofs across a decentralized public network where value transferred is a groundbreaking advancement. The ability to completely anonymize network transactions over a public network is an incredible feat that should not be overlooked. Another prominent application of the technology is in authentication systems. A zero-knowledge proof of knowledge can be used to prove secret information like a password without actually revealing the password. Zero-knowledge proofs are typically too cumbersome for usefulness with just passwords, but eventually this could provide very useful for protecting user passwords across the internet. Zero-knowledge proofs can also be applied in identity verification. For simplicity, to access a high-security facility, you would need either a PIN number or authenticated identity card to gain access through a door. The authenticating component of the door represents a security hole, as it could potentially be manipulated to learn the access PIN. Using a zero-knowledge proof, the component can contain a number in without its factorization. Authorized users would be given the solution to this particular problem instance, and then they can prove to the authenticating component that they know the solution without actually entering anything specific to the solution into the authenticating component. Therefore, manipulating the authenticating component to find the PIN will not work since it does not actually store the PIN, aka the solution. So here's how zero-knowledge proofs work. It has this little thing here. If you do a search on the Alibaba's cave, there's a paper titled "How to Explain Zero-Knowledge Proofs to Your Children" by Jean-Jacques Kiscate, I guess is how you pronounce it. It talks about the Alibaba's cave. About the shopkeeper chasing this thief into a cave, and the thief can always somehow escape. And they discover that there's some kind of trap door in the back, right? So a zero-knowledge proof is where a prover, Alice, can prove that she knows some information called X, I guess, to a verifier, Bob, without communicating any other information to Bob other than the fact that she knows X. So by definition, a zero-knowledge proof must satisfy the following three properties: completeness, soundness, and zero-knowledgeness. So completeness is a high probabilistic chance that Alice is telling the truth. Bob will eventually be convinced that she's telling the truth. Soundness is the fact that Alice can only convince Bob if she is telling the truth. And zero knowledge is that Bob doesn't learn anything about what Alice knows. She just knows that she knows the answer. He knows that she knows what the solution is. So the complexity of zero knowledge proofs results in them typically being described with abstract examples like the Alibaba's cave, the two balls, and the colorblind friend, the telecom giant. All right. So okay. So here's the example with Alice and Bob. Alice discovers a secret phrase to open a secret door in a strange cave. The cave is shaped like a ring with a secret door blocking the paths connecting at the end. Bob wants to know the secret word, but Alice, she ain't going to tell him. To solve the situation, they label the two pathways A and B. All right, so Alice takes a path while Bob waits outside and cannot see which path she chooses. Because Alice has the secret phrase to the door, she can return on either path, easily returning on the path that Bob shouts out. So he's at the door looking at her go in this cave, and he's like shouting on which path he wants her to return on, A or B. And so it's not up to Alice, it's up to Bob. She is easily returning on whatever path that he shouts out because the cave is not that deep and she can hear him from the entrance. But he can't see where she goes. She also does not need to reveal the secret phrase in order to do so. Now, if Alice does not know the secret word, she will have a 50% chance of returning on the desired path. However, over continuous attempts, the odds of her being able to anticipate Bob's request would be negligent. So if Alice doesn't know the secret path, she won't be returning back on the right path 50% of the time. But if she does know the secret path to get through the trapdoor at the other side of the cave, then she will always come back on the right path. And then the more times she does it, then the odds of her being able to anticipate Bob's request would be negligent. She will always be returning back on the right path, and then he will know that she knows the secret code. So since she has the secret phrase, her ability to return on the secret path, desired secret path, consistently demonstrate to Bob with extremely high probability that she knows the secret phrase. To observe third-party observers, they cannot see Alice in the cave due to its shape, so they would only see Alice return on the correct path. This effectively makes the whole interaction between Alice and Bob anonymous. Zero-knowledge proofs will continue to be applied wherever they are useful, and they continue to develop. Okay, so anyway, zero-knowledge proofs rightly take their place as one of the most complicated and unique technologies used in blockchain networks. Their implications are forward-thinking and even attract the admiration of Google's co-founder, Sergey Brin. All right, great. Anyway, so that's that. Let's see how much time I got here. Oh, man, I'm at the rate 30 minutes, and I still hadn't got into the trusted setup that I wanted to talk about. Anyway, I think tomorrow I will talk specifically about the trusted setup now that I've kind of laid the foundation on it. So the trusted setup is really what differentiates between ZK SNARKs and ZK STARKs, because in order to get something off the ground and rolling and be able to use ZK SNARKs, they have to do what's called a trusted setup ceremony at the beginning to kind of to establish the groundwork, to lay the foundation of, okay, this is what we're going to go by, and this is what security is. Actually, I will talk about this, and give me 10 minutes. So there's a really good article. Okay, so let me find it. Okay, so the trusted setup. Okay, so the trusted setup is so you have to go back to Zcash. All right. The trusted setup is the vital part of what makes Zcash work. Zcash was the original SNARK, right? Zcash is the first coin to use a simplified implementation of a new cryptographic proof called ZK SNARKs. These SNARKs are the engine that can quickly and efficiently verify a transaction and add it to the blockchain without revealing any details to the public. The tricky thing about these SNARKs is that, like many algorithms, they need to have a one-time setup. And the reason this setup is called the trusted setup is because you have to trust that whoever generated those keys destroyed them when they were done. So they have, so there's all types of things like fraud proofs and trusted setups and things like that that happen in ZK SNARKs. In order to establish security, and like for instance, to go back to the cave analogy where Alice and Bob and Alice was constantly going through that trap door, she knows the key, and in order to set up that key to that back trap door, somebody had to set that up, and they would have the original keys. Well, it takes somebody to destroy those keys in order to be able to get the whole program into motion, right? And so they have this ceremony to just destroy the original keys that set up that trap door in the back that Alice now knows the password to get back in and out. All right. So that's kind of like the trusted setup. So the initial parameter generation for the ZK SNARKs creates the keys that are used to create the proof for private transactions, just like the original person who installed that door at the back of the cave knows that information. All right, so we have to figure out a way to delete that original information. So the original parameter generation for ZK SNARKs creates the keys that are used to create proofs for private transactions and to verify those proofs. Those keys are the single way for transactions to be proven as good and not forgeries on the global encrypted blockchain. When the keys are first created, there's a hidden parameter that links the two keys. It is the secrets used to generate these keys that, if not destroyed, could be used to forge transactions by false verification, thereby giving that person to create unlimited Zcash undetected. So if the person that created that door in the back of the cave does not destroy the secrets of how that person created that door, then anybody else can come in and create a billion of those caves with those doors, and they can create false caves and say that cave is the key to creating new money, right? So if those original keys are not destroyed, anybody could create unlimited money. All right, so and duplicate transactions and all types of bad stuff. And something like this happened with Bitcoin quite a long time ago, but Bitcoin is not immune to this, So that's why. ZK STARKs, to get back to that, does not have this required trusted setup ceremony of destroying the original information that was used to set it all up. So yeah, man, that's basically in a nutshell the key difference between ZK SNARKs and ZK STARKs. And yeah, and that's I mean. It started with me just reading about Cairo and the Cairo programming smart contracting language used for ZK Starks versus Solidity used in ZK Starks. And then I started getting, they said, well, ZK Starks is for, I was like, well, why does that have to use a whole other, smart contract language? Well, then I started getting into the difference between ZK Snarks and ZK Starks. And ZK Starks does not have the need for a trusted setup. And I was like, well, why? What is this trusted setup? And then it takes me back to Zcash, back in like 2016. But anyway, yeah, zero knowledge protocols act very roughly in three steps: the setup, the proof, and then the verification. Um, the setup needs to be carried out once. After this setup phase is complete, 2 and 3 can usually be repeated indefinitely using the output of the setup. The difference between those trusted setup and untrusted setup protocols, which would be Starks, lies in step 1. This first setup step, the prover and the verifier agree on some common public parameters which they will need to carry out their computations. Agreeing on parameters usually means that another party imposes this set of parameters. So that, yeah, another party, meaning the person that installed the door at the back of the cave. So yeah, and they use a very concrete example, Schnorr protocol, and with all these funny numbers and letters representing numbers that I don't know. So yeah, I had to go to some more layman's language articles that I could understand a little better than that. But yeah, so you kind of get the idea, I hope, from this. So the difference between ZK Snarks and ZK Starks is the ability of Starks to not have to use that trusted setup first and the trusted setup ceremony. I mean, ZK Cash went so far as to do like total ceremonies for it, like burning computers, and they call it toxic waste. So it says here, while the inner workings of ZK Snarks are probably understood by about as many people as truly understand quantum physics, in the most basic sense, generating public SNARK parameters is akin to creating a public-private key pair, where the public key is retained, but the private key is destroyed. So another thing, ZK SNARKs will probably be vulnerable to quantum computing hacks. ZK Starks are not, because there's no initial setup. There's no what they call toxic waste residue that somebody could, with quantum computing, put those pieces together. The private key must be destroyed, because if anyone had possession of it, they could use it to create as much counterfeit Zcash as they like, or whatever. There's nothing else they could do with it, like steal someone else's coins or violate their privacy. But I think the ability to create millions or even billions of dollars worth of Zcash is quite dangerous enough. Or pull out Zcash and put in whatever cryptocurrency that uses SNARKs that you want. And in this case, it would be the rollups. So Zcash developers have called this private key the toxic waste, the original private key that created the entire framework. The ceremony was designed to ensure that the toxic waste is not only destroyed, but that it never even comes into existence. Zuko Wilcox, the creator of Zcash, is very clear in noting that the destruction of the toxic waste doesn't make it impossible to counterfeit Zcash. Although they are working on a solution to the problem, the sapling hard fork that is scheduled to occur in September 2018. Even Bitcoin faced the counterfeiting problem. Back in 2010, this is what I was talking about. A transaction took advantage of a flaw in Bitcoin to create more than 184 billion counterfeit Bitcoin. The transaction was quickly noticed, and the Bitcoin was forked to remove the transaction and the code flaw, but nothing says that Zcash might not have similar flaws unrelated to the toxic waste private key. So any Bitcoiner that sits there and criticizes Ethereum, resulting in Ethereum Classic versus Ethereum and the DAO hack, does not look in the mirror at what happened back in 2010, because Bitcoin had a similar situation happen with them getting so Bitcoin maxis, Bitcoin has been just as vulnerable to a lot of stuff. So interesting stuff. So this article is good too, where they talk about the ceremony and getting rid of all the evidence, the air gaps, which is any machine that is not connected to a network. All these ways that they created in order to get rid of the original creation, the setup, and the toxic waste that came from that initial setup. And that ZK SNARKs rely on a setup. ZK STARKs does not rely on an initial setup, and it can get straight to the zero knowledge proofs. All right. So anyway, I've rambled on long enough, and I hope you kind of get that, or at least you can read the articles that I was talking about and kind of get to understanding. But this all came back from this original thread of me trying to understand why Cairo is unique from Solidity. Both the scripting languages. Cairo is the scripting language for STARKs. Solidity is the scripting language for ZK SNARKs and all of Ethereum. And the Ethereum virtual machine. Solidity is the OG. It's probably, honestly better to learn Solidity first and then jump into something like Cairo. Cairo is definitely not a noob language. All right. Well, that being said, I am going to call it a day, and it's frozen out today. I don't know if I'm going to have to drive to work or not, but it is what it is. This has been an interesting episode, getting super, super technical, and I do that sometimes. And I wanted to get a little technical after talking about some more macro stuff the past few days. And then yesterday I went on some total conspiracy documentary type of angle. And today I just got real technical. I like to get technical. I like programming languages. I like being a nerd. Nerd. All right, man. Well, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you for making it to the end of this program. If you actually like this content, give a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more, just hit the subscribe button. I'm available on YouTube, Odyssey, and BitChute, and on all the major podcasting platforms in audio version. Spotify specifically. If you would like to follow and leave a review, that would help a lot. I am also available on Twitter at EurekaJohn1. That's EUREKA John, JOHN, and the number 1. My DMs are always open. Feel free to shoot me a message. Thanks again.